Welcome to the Blonde Runner podcast with Coach Laura Erickson, where she shares her healthy living tips as a running and triathlon coach and mother of 4.
All right, I am super excited today because I am talking to my good friend Teal about butterfly and butterfly conservation and specifically monarchs. So thank you for coming onto my podcast. I'm so glad that you're here. And I know I love what you do. And what I love is that you're super authentic about it. Like, this is just a passion you have. So, introduce yourself. Tell us the whole story. How did you get involved with monarchs?
Okay, well, thank you, Laura, for having me here. I'm so happy to be here and talk about this because I am passionate about it. And I think that it is something that people should be educated on. A lot of people don't know anything or everything about monarch butterflies and their conservation. So I started getting into butterflies at a very young age. When I was in kindergarten, actually, my teacher brought in a monarch caterpillar and we watched it in the classroom grow from a caterpillar to a butterfly, and that really stuck with me. As a young kid growing up, I would look on milkweed because that's what we were taught that the monarch caterpillars lived on, and I just remember finding them and thinking they were cute and magical. And then as an adult, I kind of got busy with life and didn't think about it again until I did think about it again, and then that's all I thought about.
Yeah, how did that happen? How did that next spark?
Well, I saw at some of the drugstores they had those build a butterfly kits where you could buy the caterpillars, or you'd send off for them, they'd mail them to you, and then you just put them in this little jar of feed. And I thought that it was pretty cool, but these were painted lady butterflies, and it reminded me of the monarchs that...
So you did specifically monarch when you were little?
Yeah, it was specifically a monarch butterfly. And I was like, well, I feel like the monarch butterflies are so much cooler than really these pretty painted ladies. The caterpillars are adorable. The chrysalis is gorgeous. The butterfly itself is beautiful. So excuse me.
That's okay.
I decided that I was going to do the monarchs, and I ordered 6 monarch caterpillars from an online site. And when they arrived at my house, they were all dead, which made me really sad. But I just thought, I live in a place where they grow milkweed. I can go out and find my own caterpillars. And so that's how it started.
And you took me and you found them really. And I just got to, and it was really cool because I never did that in elementary school. And so I remember you posting, and we've known each other for forever. Mm-hmm. But I remember thinking, and you invited me. You said, if you want to do this or whatever, it was on your Instagram or something. Yeah. And I was like, you know what? I want to do it because I've never seen that whole process, and I know other people have, and I didn't grow up with that. So we did. We went out and we got little tiny, they're so tiny, caterpillars on the bottom of the leaves of the milkweed. And then I watched them munch the leaf and grow, and I was shocked at how quickly that little teeny tiny caterpillar grew into, quite a big, and then I watched it goes into the chrysalis, and you babysat them when they actually bloomed, when they actually got their wings.
Yeah, they came out on your birthday.
On my birthday. It was cool. And she was
so
babysitting because I was at a race. But I was that was my 50th birthday, so it was really awesome.
It was really cool.
But it was really kind of neat to see that whole process. Mm-hmm. I had never seen them, the crystals and all that. Mm-hmm. And what's so cool about monarchs, and I don't know of other butterflies, but there's gold on the chrysalis. It was and if you haven't seen, there's things you could go and you can watch these things on YouTube or whatever. Yeah. But actually seeing it real life.
Yeah.
I don't know what it is. It's just kind of like taking a picture of the stars. It doesn't do the same as being there and seeing it, right?
That's right. That's right. As witnessing it, as seeing the colors change right before your eyes and not knowing where it comes from. They're gold. They're gold dots.
They have gold dots. And I'm like, where does that come from? But it's so, nature is so magical. It's so cool.
Yeah.
But, it's kind of, I love that recently we've had a lot more attention to monarchs. And so tell us about that. You were interviewed, I know, on the news about this stuff. And
yeah, I was. Like I said, I've always been drawn to the metamorphosis process of butterflies. For me, it represents a lot. It represents change and versatility and stages of life. And so I've always felt a really big connection with monarch butterflies, and it's been a hobby of mine to find them every year. And every year as I was going along, I would hear more and more in the news about the monarch butterfly species dwindling, and then last year they became a threatened species, and then this year they were actually, the migratory monarch butterflies were placed on the endangered species list, which, you know, in the beginning I felt really sad about it, because these are beautiful creatures that really don't do anything.
They don't do anything wrong. They're beautiful.
They just enhance the beauty of the world, and they do mean things to people. A lot of people find you know, after they've had a death of a loved one, that they'll see butterflies and they just feel like that is their loved one. A lot of people just...
I do.
Yeah.
You know, okay, so if you know my Race for Grief that I put on for a daughter that I lost, if you look at the logo, it's butterflies.
Yes.
Because every time I see a butterfly, I think of her.
Yeah.
Because, you know, they're kind of angelic. You know, they've got
Yeah.
wings, and they don't do anything to harm, and actually they pollinate. Like they're a good thing.
They are.
You know, and I mean, even mosquitoes are good, right? In a way, but not like butterflies are good. You're like, no way, not when you're camping. But yeah, they're beautiful. And there's something we need to think about, like, to help. And so in a way, I mean, you don't want them on the endangered list, but it's kind of good that they are, in terms of now people are becoming aware.
Yes.
So I know you recently did a lecture on like what we can do and people listening in can do to help. What can we do?
Yes, and you're absolutely right about that as well. It is good that they have been placed on the endangered list because of the awareness that it is now going to bring. I talk about butterflies and caterpillars to people all day.
Yeah, you do.
A lot of people...
She has outfits and everything. Her dog has a cute outfit.
It's really fun. I promise it's a good time. But I love educating people about it. A lot of people don't know anything about the whole entire process of the monarch butterfly. And the key thing about the monarch butterfly is where it lays its eggs and what the caterpillars eat in order to change into a butterfly. And that is the milkweed plant. If there is any one thing that's going to help save this species, is the milkweed plant, because it's the only plant that the butterflies lay their eggs on, and it's the only plant that the caterpillars eat. If they don't have that, they don't live.
That's it. That's it.
So one of the big problems with this is that milkweed all over the place isn't recognized as that. So even though the monarch has been placed on the endangered species list, I really think that the awareness needs to be taught about milkweed.
Yeah.
Because that's the main thing.
What is it? Because I remember when I reached out to you and said, hey, I want to do this. You're like, well, you got to find the milkweed plant. And I'm like, what's that? What is it? And I'm a gardener. But, I mean, it sounds, like a weed. Like you aren't going to... And, most people do think of it as a weed, and it's something they don't want to have in their yard. Not realizing that it's a valuable plant.
It is.
And why?
It is a valuable plant. I mean, the plant itself has medicinal properties. I don't know what they are enough to speak about, but I know that they do. And the thing about milkweed, too, is it's not actually a weed. It's a native wildflower, and there's many different species, and they each grow in their own regions. And here in Utah, the most common species is the showy milkweed. We also have common milkweed, and then like the antelope horn milkweed that grows maybe above like 5,000 feet. But the showy milkweed is probably the most common species across our region, and it grows very well.
Is that what those...
Yeah,
I know
seeds.
she gave out seeds.
I gave out seeds, and all of the seeds that I've given out are for showy milkweed because they thrive here in Utah. They're drought resistant.
If you are local to South Davis Rec Center, I know the Bountiful area, and that's where there are some. I know there were some at the front desk.
Yeah, I have some at the front desk. I have seeds for anybody that ever wants them. I have like a gallon-sized Ziploc bag full of seeds.
So how can they get in touch with you if they do want some?
So I have an Instagram account under Teal's Monarchs. You can message me through there. If you frequent the South Davis Recreation Center, I have seeds there. But through the Instagram is probably the best way to get a hold of me, or through you. Yeah,
and if you can't remember, get in touch with me and I'll get you in touch with her. And what's great about her too is if you have questions, I don't understand or whatever, she'll be able to answer them. She knows how to take care of them and what they need, and it's so fun because even though this is like a hobby to you, you're sort of an expert. I know you wouldn't call yourself one, but you kind of really are. And what I like is this is a very specific thing, Monarch particularly too.
It's very specific and it's exceptionally simple.
Yeah.
All you have to do is plant milkweed, and it's all over the place. You can buy seeds. You can go out and find them. Right now, you could probably still find some on the pods that are starting to dry out, but fall right now, before the ground freezes, is the best time to plant them. So if you are interested in this, right now is the time to take action and get them in the ground so they'll come up and have more milkweed plants in the spring. And they are a perennial wildflower. They come back every year without you doing anything. People think that they're an invasive species, but they're really not. If you don't want the plant to spread, all you have to do is pull the seed pods off in the fall, and then you can take the seeds, harvest them, and plant them wherever you want if you don't want them spread in certain areas.
Yes.
So,
and it's actually a pretty plant now that I know what it is. Yeah. When it blooms, it's actually really pretty.
Yeah.
And they can grow pretty tall depending on, they do need sun, I believe. I think they're part sun, right?
Yeah, no, they do actually do best in full sun.
Oh, full sun.
They do not need much water at all, but if you do put them in a place with water, they will grow. I think mine got to be probably 6 feet tall this year with great big broad leaves, and they are a pretty plant. They grow on a single stalk, and the leaves are broad and thick and smooth, and then when they're blooming they have big, maybe 6-inch diameter ball of blooms at the top of the plant.
They're really pretty when they bloom. They actually are pretty. Well, and that actually is a good plant, like being a gardener and stuff, like that's a good plant for like a backdrop, kind of thing. Mm-hmm. Whereas a lot of people just, it'll take the place of something else that might not be something that you want. But plus, you'll have butterflies in your yard.
Butterflies or pollinators, you can plant them with wildflowers. So if you have a wildflower garden, the milkweed doesn't take all the nutrients. They grow in harmony. They grow awesome together. So it's really good if you've ever wanted to start a wildflower garden to include milkweed seeds in that garden.
We've got a cat in the... All right, yeah. So, no, I like that, and I got my seeds here, and I hope they grow where I've got them, but we'll find out next year, because I don't have any milkweed in my yard, and wouldn't you say that's probably the main reason why that's the threat to not having the species, is they don't have milk. We get these new developments.
Yes.
I know, where was it? There was a park recently.
It was Island View Park in Centerville. There was a huge patch of milkweed there with probably hundreds of plants. Hundreds. On the hillside of Island View Park, just overlooking the Centerville Cemetery. And they dug it, they ripped it out, landscaped it. I was a crazy person where I was begging with the contractor foreman, and saying, please do not pull out this milkweed. And he was just like, I really have no control over this. And then I went to visit the other day, and it's nothing but a couple shrubs and some bark now. And it's just, it's really sad.
Kept it, but they didn't know. See, if they were like me, I would have been like, I don't know. They weren't educated.
Right.
They didn't know.
Right. And so that's what I want to do, is I want to spread awareness about milkweed, about the monarch butterfly, about the simple thing that you can do to help save the species, which is to plant milkweed. You can also plant nectar flowers, which is what the butterflies feed on. Oh. The butterflies aren't tied directly to the milkweed. They will drink the milkweed nectar, but they can feed off of nectar of any nectar plant. Mm-hmm. So plant those, plant milkweed, and then just reduce your use of insecticides and pesticides.
Oh, that's true.
Because that's another thing that's killing them off. But on the whole, the largest part of the reason that their numbers are dwindling is because their habitat is disappearing.
That makes sense. And particularly the ones that travel too. So explain that a little bit more too, because that was new to me when you had started explaining, there's these ones that travel, and tell us about, they only live 2 weeks, and tell us all that. That's
so the migratory monarch is the species that is specific to the endangered species list. And those are the ones that overwinter in Mexico, and then they fly north all the way up into Canada, lay their eggs throughout the summer, and then at the 4th generation of monarch butterfly, that generation migrates back down to Mexico to overwinter for 4 to 6 months, fly north again in the spring, lay the eggs, and the cycle starts all over again.
That's crazy to me that this little tiny butterfly can travel that far.
It's absolutely insane. And some of the monarchs do go to California, Southern California, to overwinter. But there are monarch butterfly populations in like tropical regions that are just there year round, that don't do any migrating. Those butterflies are not on the endangered species list. They're stable in their environment for now.
Do they look different?
They don't look, the plants look different, but the butterflies look the same. The milkweed species in tropical regions is very different, but still distinguishable as milkweed. But the butterflies do look the same.
But they don't live as long. Those type of monarchs.
Their life cycle is going to be the same as any other generation of monarch butterflies, which is about 6 weeks start to finish. So it's 3 to 5 days as an egg, 10 to 12 days as a caterpillar, 7 to 10 days in the chrysalis, and then about 2 weeks as an adult monarch butterfly. Okay. So, and then the 1, 2, 3 generations are like that, and the 4th generation is the migrating generation. And their bodies are actually shaped a little bit differently. Their wings are more aerodynamic. They're a little bit larger, so that they can make the flight down to Mexico.
That is really cool. And they're all, cool. Of course, each little family, I guess, is in their own, 4th generation is different for every little group of butterflies, I guess. But tell us about, I like that you said, like, the egg's this long, and this and that. So tell us, I think, it was interesting because I always, as a life coach, I'm always trying to find these little nuggets to teach people or tell them. And I remember hearing one about, I actually had a little video on it, and it was somebody watching a butterfly come out of its chrysalis, and it was very slow, and so it decided, well, it's going to cut it open and help it out, but because it's struggling to get out of the chrysalis. But in at the end, it kind of said it shouldn't have done that because it needs to squeeze the body to pump up the wings. And I think if you I haven't seen it in person yet, but I did watch some YouTube on it, and like that struggle. I mean, this parallels life so much, does it not? We can't have somebody take the scissors and help us out so much. Right. We need to get through it ourselves, because that's what gets us strong. It's like a chicken. You can't help them get out of the egg. They need to develop their strength by pecking themselves out. The same kind of thing. So take us through, okay, you've told us the eggs and everything, and then the chrysalis part is the part I didn't get to watch. So I want you to define it, explain it to me. So the chrysalis, the transformation from the caterpillar to the chrysalis is an incredible thing to witness, because 1 second you have a caterpillar that you have watched eat and grow for 2 weeks, and all of a sudden its skin has split open. It is crumpling up to the top of a green-looking grub thing that resembles neither caterpillar nor butterfly. Yeah. And you're just thinking, how in the world is this thing going to become what I've been told it's going to become, a butterfly? And I've read the scientific process about it. I still don't understand it. Or it's just one of those things in nature that maybe you take meaning from it in whatever way you need to. So anyway, so as it becomes a chrysalis, it hardens over a period of 24 hours and doesn't look like a grub anymore. It looks like a jewel almost, with its smooth jade covering and the gold dots on it. And then it just quietly sits there, making all of the changes it needs to make internally over the period of 10 to 12 days to emerge as an adult butterfly. And then it comes out, and you're just in awe of the process, because you at one point had a tiny egg that came into a tiny caterpillar that now was a big caterpillar that's some wriggling hanging thing now that doesn't look like anything except something you'd want to step on if you came across it in nature. And then you just sit and let it do its thing, and, keep it in a safe place, and it comes out as a butterfly. So when it comes out, it does sort of struggle out of the chrysalis, and the body is sort of fat, and the wings are pretty crinkly. I mean, it takes I remember, because I was like, oh no, what if I don't want to kill it? I remember asking you before I needed you to babysit. But that was like, when is this going to happen? How can you tell? And then what do I do? Like, because you want them to be safe during that time when their wings are still being filled, right? So how long is that process, I guess?
So
they emerge, and then it takes...
when they're about to come out, you can tell because their chrysalis goes from that jade green to translucent, and you can actually see the butterfly through the chrysalis. It's really cool. So when that happens, when you're able to see the orange and black of the butterfly, you know that butterfly is going to come out sometime that day. And it's usually in the morning that it happens. And it does seem like they struggle sometimes to come out of their chrysalis. And I've had both experiences where I have helped it get out, which they say you're not supposed to. And I have instances when I have not helped it get out, and it has ended up with a deformed butterfly, which in nature
happens.
That happens. Yeah. You know what I mean? And so I don't necessarily know if they were supposed to make it or not supposed to make it, but...
guess it's like real life.
Yeah.
Sometimes we come out and we're a little odd.
Yeah, it's the truth. It's the truth. And, I've had butterflies that look absolutely perfect, and for whatever reason, they can't fly. This is just part of what happens in nature, and in having this as a hobby of bringing up these butterflies in your house.
Yeah, how many butterflies do you feel like you've done in your lifetime?
Well,
I don't even know if you can...
Over the past 5 years, I've had a lot more because I learned how to identify eggs, and they're a lot easier to find than caterpillars. So over probably the last 5 years, I would say that I have found over 100 caterpillars and eggs, brought them in and released them as butterflies. They don't all make it, but most of them do. Which is awesome if you want to take it up as a hobby, because in nature they only have about a 1 in 25 chance in survival to go from an egg to an adult butterfly. And when you bring them in, it's almost all of them.
Yeah.
It's almost all of them that make it.
So that's kind of a way that...
Yeah.
Yeah, and if you, you should really follow on Teal's Monarchs, because she's posted things or in the stories, and you can see this process. And especially because when they're going to come out.
Yeah.
She's posted video. That's what got me intrigued initially, is I thought that is a cool thing to watch. Like nature, life really happening and right in front of you. And I could see why it's in nature, they could easily be eaten up or there's more risk that it's kind of amazing that they make it at all, really hanging from the bottom. I think it's amazing they even make it to a butterfly.
Yeah, it's amazing that they make it to a butterfly. It's amazing they make it all the way to Mexico and back. It's amazing that the whole process is just amazing. I do want to touch a little bit on one of their defenses with the milkweed, is that milkweed is a toxic plant when consumed in large quantities. Meaning, if you have a dog or a cat or a child that tries to eat milkweed, they're going to get a bad taste in their mouth, and they're not going to want to eat any more of it.
Yeah.
But if you have a weird dog or cat or child that just wants to sit and munch on milkweed, kind of stop them from doing that. But for the most part, they're not harmful to those animals or children, because the bitter taste repels them immediately. However, with a caterpillar, with it being the only thing it's ingesting, it's highly concentrated in the bug itself, and it can be poisonous to birds and other insects. So generally they're avoided. And as an adult butterfly, evolution has taught birds that if they eat this insect, it's going to kill them. So for the most part, they're left alone.
Isn't that interesting? It is that they all somehow, how somehow that bird communicates to its baby bird. Don't have that one. Yeah. And they're distinct. They are yellow and black. Or would you say yellow and black?
They are more orange than yellow, but there is a little bit of color variation. But for the most part, they are the bright orange butterflies with black lines and veins, and then little white dots on the edges of the wings.
But the worms are like,
the
they
caterpillars.
yellow? Or the caterpillars,
Yeah, sorry.
not worms.
I thought you were talking about the butterflies.
Those are yellow and
the caterpillars
black.
are yellow, black, and white striped.
And they're actually really cool looking.
They do.
They're really cool. I could see the mama bird saying they're cute, but don't touch them.
Yeah.
Like they're distinct.
Yeah, they are distinct. They're a smooth caterpillar. They don't have the furry skin, I guess, or the spikes like some caterpillars do. They're smooth. They look kind of rubbery almost.
They do, especially when they get bigger.
Yeah, and you can touch them a little bit when they get bigger, and they kind of feel rubbery too.
It's so cool to watch them like munch the leaf.
Yeah,
it's really cool.
You can sit and watch them eat. You can take time lapse videos of it, and that's all they do. All they do is eat milkweed all day long.
I just can't believe how big they get, like in such a short time. Just really. 10 times. Like, I don't know how many times.
Like 3,000
times their size from when they were teeny.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
In like a 2-week period. And I'm so glad that we don't have the ability to do that.
Like, no. Some people might have felt like that over COVID.
Yes,
no,
I did.
Kidding. I did. It's like, oh my gosh, no. But no, it's such a simple thing that we can all do. Like, think about how that would impact monarch population by if everybody had a milkweed plant in their yard, then it would just have somewhere, like it would just help so much.
Right.
Because they're pretty concentrated, I imagine, in areas that, there were some, but that might be threatened too. If everybody has them in their yards, that's going to help.
Yes. And if everybody knows what they are. And another thing too is if you don't want to plant milkweed in your yard, there are so many empty parking lots or places where weeds are already growing, or roadways that have patches of dirt with nothing growing in them. Those are perfect spots to plant milkweed because they'll grow there. Mm-hmm. They don't need to be watered. They don't need to be weeded. They're a hardy perennial wildflower that grows very well in this region. So basically anywhere that you see weeds or wildflowers growing, you can plant milkweed. All you have to do is clear a little bit of soil to give them a chance. Make sure that the seed has good contact with the soil. Cover it with a little bit more and you're good to go. And like I said, fall right now is the best time to get them in the ground.
So, and if you're listening from like other states or whatever, it might be a little different in your area, but this is still pretty much anywhere a good time to get them in the ground, because then we'll have them in the spring.
Yes.
But they don't have to go very deep.
Right, they don't. They don't. And if you are listening from another area of the country, just do a little bit of research on what species of milkweed is native to your area. Learn how to identify the plant, and then you can start harvesting seeds and planting them and spreading awareness as well. If it's something that interests you. And I think it's pretty awesome that we have the control and the power and that we can do something about this endangered species. Like, there's not a lot that I personally can do for a Siberian tiger or whatever other species that are so far away from me and so far removed. I can donate money, but what can I really do?
But we can.
I can't think of anything, but we can do something about this.
I like that.
And it's a very easy thing to do. So.
Well, I'll make sure and post a picture of the milkweed so people can know what it looks like. So don't, take it out of your yard or anywhere if you do have it. And of course, now you'll know what it looks like to plant. But we can post that. I'll have it on the Healthy Living podcast on Instagram. That's the handle. So you go there, and I'm sure she has pictures there. You'll have to see her in her cute butterfly costume. And I hope you need to post a picture of your cute little doggy.
I'll
Ruby.
I'll get one of
so
Ruby
cute.
and hers as well.
She's little. Oh my gosh, it's so adorable. Since it's Halloween anyway, but. Yeah, very helpful. And, we can all do our part. And it doesn't take but a few minutes to put it out there and, put it in your yard. So, yay. I'm excited because I want to see what happens in my yard next year. I don't have to go anywhere else. I might have little and I have not seen the eggs in real life yet.
Yeah,
so
we'll do that next year. Maybe I'll organize like a butterfly hunting day or something.
No, that would be really fun because there's like... Now I know and understand. Mm-hmm. I mean, that's part of why we're doing this is like, I didn't know. I didn't realize, but it was great that they did that program and stuff. So you can learn. Anyway, but I really appreciate you coming and talking to me about this, and hopefully we'll have some more milkweed, at least in Utah and anywhere else that's listening in. So really appreciate you.
Well, thank you so much, Laura, for having me and helping me spread awareness about this butterfly.
So needed. We don't want to lose the butterfly to monarchs. They're so pretty. All right. Talk to you later. Bye. Thank you for joining me for this episode of the Healthy Living Podcast. Be sure and check the show notes for resources or links that we mentioned in the show. You can also find them on my website at blonderunner.com. BLONDERUNNER.com. You can also find me on Instagram at The Blonde Runner with an E and Coach Laura Erickson, and that's LORA. Before you forget, I hope that you will follow this podcast and like it so you don't miss an episode. Also, it really helps if you leave a review so other people can find it, and share it with your friends. Until next time, live well.